Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel.
It was a sellout crowd for the singing priests. I'm Carolee McGrath. I'll have that story.
Dan Dumas will be by with a look at what's happening in the Diocese of Springfield. And celebrating 3 decades of the diaconate in the Diocese of Springfield. These stories and more are coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel.
From throughout Western New England and beyond, this is Reel to Reel, your window on the world around you. Here is your Reel to Reel host, Sharon Roulier.
Hello and welcome to Reel to Reel. It's been more than 30 years since the first class of permanent deacons was installed in the Diocese of Springfield. It was on January 15th, 1983, during a snowstorm, that 19 men were ordained to the diaconate by Bishop Joseph McGuire at St. Michael's Cathedral. 7 of those deacons who are still living from that first class were honored last month at the annual Deacon Appreciation Mass and Dinner. They are a little bit older and a little bit wiser than they were on that snowy ordination day 30 years ago, but still just as filled with their love for God and the church.
After 30 years, and I don't mean to be, I'm not trying to be sentimental because I mean it. When I hold up that book of the Gospels, I still, say, Lord, I hold this book up in your strength and my weakness, and that's how I preach. And for me, preaching has been a real calling.
Deacon Bernard Fleury joined his fellow classmates on the altar for the Mass celebrated by Springfield Bishop Timothy McDonnell, which was also attended by 120 deacons and their wives. The permanent diaconate has become invaluable to the church in the diocese over the last few decades, as permanent deacons serve in parishes, prisons, hospitals, nursing homes, and just about anywhere else they are called to minister.
I think because of the first few classes, it took a while for the parishioners to understand and to accept. And I think over the last 5 or 6 classes, I think all the deacons have made an impact in their parishes. And I think the parishioners, the pastors, I think everyone working together is making the diocese stronger.
Deacon Lucian Miller has served at the Newman Catholic Center at the University of Massachusetts in Amherst for the last 30 years. He says he has enjoyed his time there and also his more recent one-on-one ministry as a spiritual director.
And so you get to be present to people in a very special way with a consciousness that the real director is the Holy Spirit. It's a very precious kind of thing.
During a dinner following the Mass, several classes of deacons were awarded certificates and pins for their years of service. Those receiving pins for their 30-year anniversary were Deacon Gino Medina of Blessed Sacrament Parish in Springfield, Deacon Pat Baldassaro of St. Joseph Parish in Pittsfield, Deacon Jim Hager of Sacred Heart Parish in Pittsfield, Deacon Miller, Deacon Fleury of Holy Redeemer Parish in Hadley, Deacon Robert Duvall of Ludlow, and Marion Callahan, wife of the late Deacon Tom Callahan, represented her husband. The deacons also honored Bishop McDonnell with a gift for his impending retirement from the Diocese of Springfield. He was presented with a framed picture of himself washing feet during a Holy Thursday service in the cathedral. Currently, there are 76 active and 11 retired deacons in the diocese. And many deacons gathered last weekend to mark the ordination of 2 seminarians as deacons. It was a day of celebration for the Springfield Diocese as seminarians Christopher Fedorishin and Frank Lawler marked a major milestone in their preparation for the priesthood. Rebecca Drake has a report now on the rite of diaconate ordination held at St. Michael's Cathedral.
Christopher Federation. Present.
They said yes to God. And now Christopher Federation and Frank Lawler have taken the final step before their ordination to the priesthood. Surrounded by family, friends, fellow students, and clergy, the two seminarians were ordained to the diaconate by Springfield Bishop Timothy McDonnell.
We see these two men who are on their road to priesthood, hoping one day to stand before the altar, offering the Eucharist, feeding God's people, pointing people to Christ.
During the liturgy at St. Michael's Cathedral, the men were presented to the bishop by Father Gary Daly, Diocesan Vocations Director.
After inquiry among the Christian people, and upon the recommendation of those responsible, I testify that they have been found worthy.
Before the moment of ordination, Bishop McDonnell addressed the candidates.
Now you've come to a point in your life where the call is clear, you're listening to it, you're hearing it, and you're responding to it. Getting up from what you've been to become something new. The Lord be with you.
After the liturgy, the new deacons reflected on this special day and the months that lie ahead.
What I've been coming back to, especially as I've been reflecting on the diaconate over the past few days, is what a privilege and honor it is to serve God's people and God's church.
It's been a series of what I'd describe as minor miracles, that I find myself in situations that I never expected to be in, and the Holy Spirit has been with me at each time, and I walk away amazed sometimes at the wonder of it all.
And now that they have entered the clerical state, Father Gary says the new deacons will focus on charity and service.
Their main attention now is really works of charity, not only assisting at the altar, but extending their hands and their eyes and their feet as Jesus would want them to serve God's people.
The new deacons say that they are ready to fulfill their responsibilities. And Father Gary says all people in the diocese can be part of the team, supporting the new deacons with their prayers in the coming months.
People's prayer for them is very important because the work of the deacon, the work of the priest can be very, very difficult in many ways. And people need to assist them, through their prayers.
With prayers and a promise to serve, the deacons will continue their academic work and parish ministry in the final months before priesthood ordination. For Reel to Reel, I'm Rebecca Drake.
The diocese is certainly blessed by the dedication and commitment of these two men. Their ordination to the priesthood is scheduled for June of 2014. Still to come on Reel to Reel, Dan Dumas will give us a look at what's happening in the Diocese of Springfield.
Something compulsive, something repulsive, something.
And the singing priests held an inspiring performance to benefit the Sisters of St. Joseph.
Something for everyone.
These stories and more are still to come on Reel to Reel.
The Chalice of Salvation, your weekly spiritual connection. I'm Passionist Brother Terrence Scanlon, your Chalice host, inviting you to join us on Sunday morning at 10. Join us this week as we welcome Father Paul Bombardier and continue our Advent season. The Chalice of Salvation, your spiritual connection, Sunday morning at 10 here on 22 News.
Hi, I'm Mark Quinn. As I grew up on the south side of Chicago, the Dominican Sisters of Springfield not only taught me, but formed me in my Catholic faith. The sisters worked for very, very little. Now as they've gotten older, they have no savings to fall back on. And we benefited from their sacrifice. And I think it's time that we recognize that much of what we are today, we are because of what sisters did for us. It's our turn to help them out in their hour of need. They don't ask for a lot. They embrace the simple life. I owe them so much. That's why I make an annual donation to the Retirement Fund for Religious. Do you remember the religious men and women who shaped your life? Say thank you to them by donating to the Retirement Fund for Religious at your local parish. Join me. Share in the care.
I'm Dan Dimas with your Reel to Reel news brief. Pope Francis will help launch a global campaign of prayer and action against world hunger on December 10th. Organized by Caritas International, the Vatican-based Veneration of Catholic Charities, the Global Wave of Prayer, will begin at noon on December 10th. Pope Francis will offer his blessings and support for the One Human Family, Food for All campaign in a 5-minute video message being released on the eve of the global launch. Nearly 1 billion people, or about 1 in 7, experienced chronic hunger or undernourishment, according to Caritas. Local schools and parishes will mark this event, and you can find a prayer on our website, iobserve.org. In other news, Holyoke Catholic marked a half-century last weekend with a gala and awards ceremony. Steve Kiltonic tells us more.
On November 30th, Holyoke Catholic High School celebrated its 50-year anniversary with a gala event and inaugural Awards of Distinction ceremony at the Mass Mutual Center. Over 350 Holyoke Catholic alumni and guests attended the banquet, along with Springfield Bishop Timothy McDonnell, who gave the invocation. The festivities also included an auction with various items and a video featuring the honorary recipients, each of whom was interviewed by a student. The 38 Awards of Distinction winners were selected by a 50th Anniversary Committee composed of current and former faculty members, as well as alumni. Honorees received a certificate and a silver key symbolic of the school's success and their dedication and service to the Holyoke Catholic High School community.
We were looking for people who had made a difference. Holyoke Catholic is known as a big family, and that doesn't happen accidentally. There are a lot of people who go out of their way, who do special things, who are especially kind or helpful. And those were the people that we wanted to recognize. Everything from former presidents or headmasters to our cook, Vinnie Lingley. So it was a widespread selection of anybody who really made a difference to the kids.
Jeff Trask said Holyoke Catholic has a unique personality that sets it apart from other schools.
People truly feel like they're part of a family, and it's a special place to be. It inspires people to want to commit their time and want to help out and want to see it grow and thrive in the future.
Sister Marlene Muha has taught literature and composition at the school for the past 45 years.
We're a real community, and the students are a joy. It is not work to go into teaching every day.
She said that the school has maintained its spirit despite having 3 separate locations over the past half-century: downtown Holyoke, Granby, and now Chicopee.
I think our spirituality has remained constant. The culture of the school and the closeness of the student body and the faculty have remained constant. Everyone feels so welcome.
For Eva Stockhammer, it was a family affair. She was honored along with her husband and 2 children for their contributions to the performing arts program.
It's not just the faculty administration, it's the students themselves that support each other. And for me, that's what makes it so special. I know that when the cast list is posted, it is as if a varsity sport was announced. And that means that everybody's just as important as everyone else there.
Holyoke Catholic was founded in 1963 by the Sisters of St. Joseph, when Sacred Heart, Precious Blood, St. Jerome, and Holy Rosary schools merged. Overall, it was a memorable night for all who attended, as former classmates got a chance to get reacquainted, renew friendships, and reminisce about their high school days.
Area police and emergency personnel also gathered recently for the annual Blue Mass. Carolee McGrath reports.
They put their lives on the line every day. Police officers, firefighters, state police, federal law enforcement, corrections officers, paramedics, and all first responders. They are everyday heroes. But at the 8th annual Blue Mass, they gathered before their hero, God the Father, in prayer.
We come together at this Mass to thank them.
Springfield Bishop Timothy A. McDonald celebrated the Mass, thanking the men and women and their families for their service. Bishop McDonald first introduced the Blue Mass in 2005.
Well, the Blue Mass is a way for us to recognize all the good that's done by the people in blue, the men and women in blue, the police, the fire, the first responders, all of those who go out of their way in order to protect and serve.
Springfield Fire Commissioner Joseph Conan is a member of St. Michael Parish in East Longmeadow.
It's been 1 year since we had the gas explosion downtown, which was arguably one of the most critical events in my career as far as injuries and personal issues. I know when that happened on my way down there, I was saying a lot of prayers, hoping that everybody was okay. So you really need to have faith, and you need to believe that everything's going to be all right and things are going to be okay, because we do see a lot of bad things. We witness a lot of tragedy, and it's important to have faith to get through those things.
This year, the bishop asked people to remember the victims of the Boston Marathon bombings. 3 people were killed and more than 260 others were injured after 2 pressure cooker bombs went off within seconds of each other near the finish line last April. Investigators say the bombing suspects also shot and killed an MIT police officer and critically injured a transit cop a few days after the bombings while trying to flee the area. Law enforcement flocked to Watertown in those anxious days while the suspects were still at large to protect residents.
Basically, we try to say thank you to them and ask God's blessings upon them to keep them safe, to keep their families safe, because every time they put their lives on the line for us. And we've got to say, in some way, recognize that and thank them for it.
Springfield Police Commissioner William Fitchett is a member of Sacred Heart Parish in Springfield. The 40-year veteran said faith has been critical in his law enforcement career.
Well, the Catholic Church is very important and involved in the community, involved with the police department, public safety, and the fire department. And we see a lot of tragedy in our business, and in fact, we see it every day. So I think it's a good component to have a faith component if you're a member of public safety. It's something that you can lean back on and you can count on all the time.
Knowing that no matter what danger they face, Christ is always with them. I'm Carolee McGrath reporting.
Finally, this coming week marks the sad 1-year anniversary of the tragic killings in Newtown, Connecticut. Locally, St. Michael's Parish in East Longmeadow will hold a special Advent prayer service commemorating this anniversary. It will be held on Wednesday, December 11th at 7 p.m. in the church on Maple Street. All are invited. And remember, you can keep up to date on all the latest news on the Catholic Church by logging on to iobserve.org. There you can always keep up to date on all the happenings, both here in the Diocese of Springfield and beyond. That's our news and information website, iobserve.org. I'm Dan Dumas, and that's your Reel to Reel News Brief.
It is projected that in 10 years, religious men and women past the age of 70 will outnumber those under age 70 by 4 to 1. Last year, the annual cost for caring for the more than 34,000 women and men religious past the age of 70 was $1.1 billion. Each year, the National Religious Retirement Office sponsors an appeal for the Retirement Fund for Religious. The distribution of funds donated to this collection provides religious institutes with vital support for the current and future care of elder members. Here to tell us more now about how this collection benefits the religious in the Diocese of Springfield is Sister Judith O'Connell, Vicar for Religious. Thanks so much for joining us today, Sister Judith.
My pleasure.
Now, Sister, we have this collection this weekend for the retired religious, which is being held in all parishes in our diocese. Can you tell us a little bit about it and who benefits by the collection?
The beauty of this is it's a national collection. And so if someone from New York happens to be living here in the Springfield Diocese and they want a religious order that they had, either ministering to them or teaching, whatever, they can contribute, and that religious order will benefit because every religious order is eligible and it follows a formula for receiving the funds. Now that means that they measure the retired, the infirm, the median age. They all have a very equitable formula so that everyone benefits well.
And our diocese has also benefited by this national collection. Can you tell us how the collection has been a multiplication of loaves and fishes in a way?
Very definitely. In the beginning, we were sending funds, and the return was coming to each religious community that needed it. Within the last 8 years, the amounts that we would send would come back doubled. The need has been so great that it's increased doubly, and this past year, we sent 107,000, I think maybe $786 or something to that effect, and the return was $393,000.
All right, Sister Judith O'Connell, Vicar for Religious for the Diocese of Springfield, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And we certainly hope that folks will support this very important campaign.
There they were, the day after Halloween. Christmas displays in the stores, along with the sounds of jingle bells and winter wonderland up and down the aisles. But at a time when so many families continue to struggle financially, the pressure to buy gifts seems more and more detached from the origin and meaning of the Christmas season. So in this month's issue of the Catholic Mirror, we invite readers to remember what we are really celebrating, not necessarily giving material gifts, but receiving the gift of salvation at no cost and with free shipping and handling directly from God. In his Reflections in the Mirror column, Bishop McDonald remembers his first visit to a farm, especially the smells and sounds of a barn full of animals, and how this was the setting in which a Savior was born. And you may be surprised to read the statistics of how many children continue to be born into poverty each day. In a special article contributed to the Mirror, Father Douglas McGonigal, who was an astronomer before he became a priest, presents evidence illustrating the authenticity of the Star of Bethlehem, what it meant to the ancient Romans, and what it signifies to modern Christians. And local Catholics, young and old, share memories of the people and places that best express the Yuletide messages of peace and love. And as we all reinvigorate ourselves, body and soul, in the new year, a young author with ties to our diocese discusses the challenges of putting faith into action in the midst of one of the country's largest cities. So whatever we do, and wherever we are on December 25th, let us recall the austerity of Christ's birth, and remember that the best present we can give is our presence to our loved ones, and especially to the poor, who perhaps most of all live in solidarity with the one who redeemed humanity. At the editor's desk, I'm Rebecca Drake.
And finally, it was standing room only for the Singing Priest concert in Chicopee just before Thanksgiving. This talented group held a benefit concert for the Sisters of St. Joseph. Reel to Reel's Carolee McGrath takes us there.
You don't often think of priests bringing down the house, but that's exactly what they did at Bellamy Middle School in Chicopee for the Singing Priest benefit concert for the Sisters of St. Joseph. Close to 1,000 people packed the auditorium for the Medley of Hope performance. The group of 13 priests from across the Diocese of Springfield sang a mix of religious and show tunes.
That on the cross my burden gladly bearing, he bled and died to take away my sin. Then sings my soul.
Father Vernon Dakota, the pastor of St. Francis of Assisi Parish in Belchertown, was the co-director of the show.
We always do religious songs in the first half, and then we do some fun modern songs, Broadway songs in the second half, and just have a good time.
Something compulsive, something repulsive, something for everyone coming tonight. Something aesthetic, something frenetic, something for everyone coming tonight.
The Sisters of St. Joseph have launched a fundraising campaign to help care for retired religious. They have gone public in recent months about the economic crisis they're facing. Sister of St. Joseph Maxine Schneider is the president of the congregation.
We are so thrilled about this. The support that we've received from all sectors of the diocese since we spoke of our financial need has been absolutely outstanding, from the bishop to the people of the diocese. But today we are just so very grateful to our brother priests of the singing priests for this medley of hope.
Father Matthew Alcombright, an accomplished musician, was the co-director of the show. Father Alcombright is the parochial vicar at Mary Mother of Hope Parish in Springfield.
Priests are just so happy and honored to be able to do this for the sisters.
The priests also did a touching tribute singing a song written by Sister Sally Marsh called Gentle St. Joseph.
Gentle St. Joseph, guardian so good.
It's a lot of work, it's a lot of fun, some say we can't wait till it's over, but just having the people here, when you go out you say it's a lot of work, how many people are going to show up, and then you see all the people. It's just a lot of fun to be able to do this for them, to be able to do it for our sisters, and to be able to do it for ourselves. It makes us feel good, kind of gives us a shot in the arm.
Father Vern and a group of singing priests used to perform on a more regular basis several years ago, but after taking a break, Father Vern got the band back together, as they say, entertaining crowds, raising money for charity, and glorifying God through song.
It goes back really to the early 80s when we had a group of priests called the Priests for Life, and we raised money for pro-life, for birthright. And then we sort of took a vacation as we became very busy and became pastors. And then last year we were asked to bring a new group together, and we formed New Wine in Old Wineskins, bringing the new priests in. And it was such a big success, we went on to do it again in Pittsfield. And then we thought, let's do this for the Sisters of St. Joseph, and we're getting a tremendous response.
Father Francis Riley, the pastor of St. Mary Parish in Longmeadow, played guitar. Father David Darcy, the pastor of Holy Cross Parish in Springfield, was on drums. The other musical performers included Father Daniel Boyle, Father Christopher Watikis, Father Yerrick Mendez, Father Michael Bernier, Father Matthew Guidi, Father Bill Lunny, Father David George, and Father Daniel Simer. And people are already looking forward to their next performance. Reporting for Reel to Reel, I'm Carolee McGrath.
And we understand the event raised close to $25,000. Father Dakota also released his third CD, Inspirations, as a fundraiser for his parish, St. Francis of Assisi in Belchertown. And also the Catholic Women's Club of Springfield, a club dedicated to Catholic action, service, and education, is seeking new members. The club is open to all women of the Springfield Diocese. For more information, you can call Catherine Seward at 413-736-1649 or Melinda Mandeville at 413-526-9911. And that's it for this week's program. To keep up to date on all of the news on the Catholic Church in the Springfield Diocese and around the world, log on to our news and information site 24 hours a day, iobserve.org. And please join me again next week for another edition of Reel to Reel, your window on the world around you. Have a great week.